What's up, YouTube and Wrestling Universe? WWE Clash of Champions took place this past Sunday, September the 15th, 2019. We start with the pre-show, which consisted of two matches. 15 minutes into the kickoff show, we're backstage with the New Day with the same usual stuff. The first actual match is for the Cruiserweight Championship, which takes place 25 minutes into the show. Humberto Carrillo versus Lince Dorado versus Drew Gulak, and we see Drew Gulak retain the championship. While there's no story progression, this was a good opening match. We then get Bayley and Sasha Banks backstage, and they basically say we ain't never scared. Next match is for the United States Championship. Also on the pre-show, AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander. Alexander tries to get the win early on, but AJ gains the control after dropping Alexander on the apron, and then the Styles clash onto the floor. Cedric Alexander catches a phenomenal forearm, followed by a Styles clash, and then AJ Styles winds up retaining. Afterwards, all three members of the OC beat Cedric Alexander down. Welcome to WWE Clash of Champions, the one night of the year where all titles are defended. We start off with the Raw Tag Team Championship match, where we have Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. This match starts with Braun and Seth working well as a team with no friction. Roode and Dolph, however, work a little better as a team, and they wind up becoming the new tag team champions. There was a point in the match where Braun Strowman caused Robert Roode to run into Seth Rollins, taking him out of the equation, which led to them losing. Braun Strowman walks out and heads to the back, followed by Rollins. Braun is then interviewed in the back, and he blames the loss on Seth, and he says that Seth will stay on a losing streak later tonight. Next, Becky Lynch is in the back with Kayla and basically says she's going to win the match. Next up, we have the Women's SmackDown Championship match with Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. Charlotte starts off with a big boot going for the quick win. Charlotte is clearly coming off as the fan favorite and starts off dominant, with Bayley trying to get out of the way. Bayley quickly snuck in a win when she undid the bottom turnbuckle and caught Charlotte face first into the turnbuckle, getting the win. This was all probably about a 7-minute match and ended when Bayley ran to the back. I'm okay with this simply because it continues a feud and further shows that Bayley is no longer the goody-goody Bayley that we're used to. Next up for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, we have the Revival versus the New Day. The Revival pretty much dominate the match, which is surprising. The New Day do have an advantage a little towards the beginning of the match. They wind up getting Big E out of the way and then begin concentrating on the injured knee of Xavier Woods. This causes Woods to tap out when he's locked into the submission when he can't reach the ropes, and we have new tag team champions, the Revival. The Revival then begin talking about how they're the greatest, and it's the return of the old school. Next, we get R-Truth and Carmella backstage during an Alexa and Nikki interview. Truth tells the other Carmella she has a beautiful voice, talking to Alexa Bliss. Bliss grabs the microphone attached to the microphone holder that Truth is holding and lets everyone know where Truth is in the building. They wind up chasing him as he runs away. Next up, we have Fire and Desire versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the Women's Tag Team Championships. This match starts off with another domination by the champions. However, Truth runs to the ring, trying to escape from everyone, and he gets rolled up by Alexa Bliss and all the madness. R-Truth winds up escaping, but the distraction leads to a change in momentum, giving Fire and Desire the control of the match. However, with Bliss knocked out of the action, Nikki Cross comes in and takes over, leading to Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss retaining. We get a recap of what happened earlier with the pre-show, and we get ready for the Intercontinental Championship match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz. Sami Zayn starts off with a microphone talking about how The Undertaker injured him, and thankfully during the match, Sami's microphone goes out during his commentary. Shinsuke Nakamura winds up retaining, of course thanks to Sami Zayn on the out having the leg of The Miz, which gives Nakamura the advantage and then later distracting the referee. Next up, we have the Women's Championship match on the line. It's boss time. Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch in a pretty good match that sees the action go back and forth with Becky seemingly in control for most of the match. Sasha makes the mistake of brings a chair into play, hitting Becky with it, and then Becky later returns the favor. Becky nails the referee with a chair, giving her free reign to go after Sasha. They take the fight into the crowd and into the concession stand and then back to the ringside area. In the end, Becky winds up destroying Sasha with the chair, trying to break her arm almost in heel turn fashion. Officials come in to break it up, leading to boos from the audience. Becky Lynch winds up losing by disqualification for hitting the referee, but she still retains the championship. Next up is Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston for the World Championship. This was probably the longest match of the card, and at this point, it should be the final chapter, which sees Kofi Kingston retain in the end, doing it all by himself. After Kofi gets the win, we see the Street Profits in the back talking about the King of the Ring, and apparently the King of the Ring finals will be tomorrow night on Raw. And here comes King Booker. Next up is the big dog Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a no disqualification fight. This isn't really a wrestling match, which was to be expected. Rowan holds his own for the most part and seemed to be in control of the match. Roman Reigns lands a Superman punch and then charges for a spear and catches a big boot from a returning Luke Harper, who comes out to help Eric Rowan get the win. I love the fact that Harper is back, however, wanting us to believe that what he did to Roman Reigns was all his idea and he did it all on his own. It makes me curious where they'll go with the storyline from here. As Eric Rowan and Luke Harper walk off, Rowan says this ain't over. Anyhow, this was another great Clash of the Champions moment. We see Seth Rollins in the back get ready, and Charlie comes up and Seth says that he's going to slay a monster. The match was okay, with the highlight of the match being Braun Strowman coming off the top rope with a splash on to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins with a curb stomp. We get a kick out, a second curb stomp, and we get a kick out, and a third curb stomp. We get a kick out, but then we get a pedigree and a curb stomp, and Seth Rollins retains the championship. As Seth Rollins walks to the back to end the show, the logo comes onto the screen and the lights go out. And the Fiend hits a Sister Abigail, followed up by a Mandible Claw. As the screen goes black, we go off the air with the Fiend laughing and a fantastic ending to the show. The follow-up on Monday Night Raw led to a few interesting moments as well. First off, we got the King of the Ring match, and Baron Corbin became the new king by defeating Chad Gable. Coming from Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs become the new 24/7 champion. And then we get the Sasha and Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki match a lot sooner than what I expected. All throughout the show, we had the Firefly Funhouse segments instead of just the one that we usually get. And at the end, there was a return of Kane, only to be taken out by the Fiend. In my own creative state, at the end of the show, I had Braun Strowman coming out to help Seth Rollins as everyone is attacking him, only for the lights to go out and the Fiend to hit the ring, doing his thing, only with Braun Strowman just standing there. This will give us a tease of why the Fiend didn't actually attack Braun Strowman. Also with this show, I have to ask what's up with the Maria Kanellis story and what does everyone think of it. Leave replies and comments below. For those who didn't see Raw, we had the general reveal party and played a game of Who the Baby Daddy. Maria first says it's Ricochet, and then apparently she says it's a return of Rusev. This was just another way to further bury Mike Bennett as he lost squash matches to both men. But I honestly question where the storyline is supposed to go. And what are they doing with Bennett? Also, finally, the AOP made their return in a promo on Raw. As far as SmackDown goes, we're going to hear from Shane McMahon. Involving Kevin Owens, also hear more of the Roman Reigns, Eric Rowan story. And then we get the coronation of our new king. Hopefully we can see Kofi move on to the next chapter. I suggest it be Aleister Black. Anyhow, that was the Clash of Champions 2019 along with the Fallout. Overall, it wasn't a bad show and it was enjoyable. It definitely takes the top spot of the 3 events I watched during the weekend. Go back and check out those Impact reviews if you're interested. This show has some good moments. I want to say the best match was probably Sasha versus Becky, and probably the Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton match if you like the longer matches. Did you guys enjoy the show? Tell me what you thought in the comments below. Also, thank you for everything you do, including likes, dislikes, comments, subscribes, shares, and definitely thank you for taking the time to be here.